Hello crafter and welcome to my channel. Today I am bringing you a fun crochet project. We are going to be making this magic yarn market bag. So I mentioned this bag like back in the fall, maybe even last summer, and at that time I was like, hey, when I'm done with it, I'll put together a pattern either on Etsy or on my blog. I wasn't planning to do a video on it, and I finally finished it and got my pattern typed up, and then my blog crashed. And at the time of filming this video, I still have not rebuilt it because it is totally gone. I have a backup that's very old, but yeah, that's a big project I have yet to tackle. So anyway, since back then I promised I would bring you the pattern for this bag, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna make a video on it. So what makes this a magic market bag is we're going to be using a magic yarn ball. If you're not familiar with that, I'll link a card with the video that shares more on that and shows you how to make one. But basically it's a ball of yarn made with all of your scrap yarn. So you never know when the colors are going to change, and that's what makes this magical. So I wanted to come up with a project to use the magic yarn ball that was equally as crazy and spontaneous and fun as this ball of yarn itself. And so I decided to make a bag with lots and lots and lots of texture. So that's what we're doing today. Here's what the bag looks like. I didn't measure it before filming this intro. I will have measurements pop up on the screen, and you can adjust the straps to make them however long you want. I made them so they're long enough to go like over the shoulder, but the bag is pretty sturdy and has a nice bit of stretch to it. So grab your magic yarn ball, I'll tell you what hook you need, and we'll start crocheting this project. So as reference once more, this is the bag we are going to be making. Mine's a little lumpy right now because I am storing some projects in my bag, but you can use this as a grocery bag or a project bag, however you want to use it. So this project, we're going to start by creating a rectangular base for the bottom, and then we'll work in the round. But I do want to mention really quick that a lot of these rows have repeating patterns that require a repeat of 3 stitches, and the number of stitches I ended up working in the round are not a multiple of 3, so every time we end the row it's a little goofy. But I just want to throw out the idea that if you want, you can adjust the size of your bag or throw in an extra stitch or 2 when you're going around for the first time to make it be a multiple of 3 stitches, and then you won't need to worry about doing anything different at the ends. You can just keep repeating the 3-stitch patterns. Of course, that doesn't mean a whole lot right now, but you'll see what I mean as we get into the project, and that's just an option I wanted to throw out there before we jumped in. So I've gathered my materials. This is my magic yarn ball, and if you don't know how to make one of these, click the card up there. And because of the average size of the yarn in my magic yarn ball, I'm going to use a size H 5mm crochet hook. All right, to start this pattern, we're going to create a foundation chain of 36 chains. You of course can use the foundationless row to set it up if you want, but I'm going to show it in this video today with the foundation chain. And we're going to start with 36 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, just working chains like normal, 5, 6, and I'm going to jump ahead to my 36th chain. So far pretty standard, we've just worked a 36 chain long foundation chain. So now I'm going to turn my work, and we're going to work single crochet in a row across. We're going to skip the first chain of our row, and in the second chain from our hook, work a single crochet stitch. So 1, go to my next chain, work my second single crochet stitch, and I'm going to end up working a total of 35 single crochet stitches down the side of my foundation chain. Now, if you watched my crochet hacks video, you can apply some of the techniques from that video. You could either be working in the back nub of the foundation chain instead of working in the side like I'm showing in this video, or you can cut out the foundation chain entirely by working a row of foundation or foundationless, single crochet, whatever you want to call it. But I'm just going to work down this row and work a total of 35 single crochet stitches, and then I'll meet you at the end. So here is what row 1 looks like once it's completed. We just worked 35 single crochet stitches across, and now rows 2 through 5 are going to repeat each other, and we're just going to work evenly in single crochet across. So to work this, we start by chaining 1, turning our project, and in the first stitch of the last row, I'm going to work a single crochet, second single crochet in the next stitch, third single crochet in the following stitch, and so on and so forth all the way down until I have 35 single crochets. So once I get to the end and I've worked 35 single crochets, that will complete row 2, and then I will repeat row 2 3 more times to crochet rows 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so if we take a look here, I have finished rows 1 through 5, and you might notice it's curling. That's because I tend to do my single crochets very tight, and that tension just makes them want to curl, but if you have this problem, once you start going around, it'll even out just fine. So this essentially is the bottom of our bag, and now we're going to start working around. So I'm going to call what we have here rows 1 through 5, and then to keep the numbering consistent, our next row will be row 6, except I'm going to call it round 6. So round 6 is the 6th row, round, whatever you want to call it, but is the first row, round, whatever, where we're actually working in the round. So just want to clear that up when I'm referring to round 6 here. And round 6 is going to be pretty straightforward. We're basically going to end up single crocheting all the way around the edge of this rectangle. So we're going to start by chaining 1, turning our work, and we're going to work 35 single crochet right along the top here. So here's my first single crochet, my second single crochet, third, and I'm going to work 35 down this edge, but I do highly recommend that you put a stitch marker in the first stitch of the round so that we will know when we've gone all the way around. And with this project, I am joining my rounds versus spiraling. Alright, so that's 3 single crochet. I'm going to work all along this top edge until I have 35 single crochet, and then I'll meet you here in the corner and we'll start working down the other side. Alright, so we're still working round 6 here. I've worked 35 single crochet along this top edge, and what I need to do now is this 35th single crochet, I need to turn it into an increase. So basically what I mean by that is I've already worked a single crochet in this final stitch, and we're going to work a second one into the same exact spot. So right here. So basically we worked 34 single crochet along this top edge, and then the 35th spot we worked a single crochet increase by working 2 in the same spot. So now we can turn our work and work down this short little side here, and I am going to work a total of 4 single crochet stitches along here. Now placement, I just kind of always make this up as I go along, just focusing on placing them evenly. There's not really a right or wrong way. I will say that I personally like to get a little bit further under the stitching just because it prevents gaping and stuff. So like if I only went under one strand, it's more likely to pull and create more gaping along the bottom of my bag. But basically these 4 single crochet on this side, I'm going to place them between my different rows of stitching. So this is rows 1 and 2, so I'll put a single crochet there. This is rows 2 and 3, so I'll put a single crochet there. Rows 3 and 4, I'll put a single crochet between them. Rows 4 and 5, I'll put a single crochet between them as well. So what that'll look like is working a single crochet right here. So this is my first one. Working in between the stitches of the next row down. This is my second single crochet on the side. Again, working between the next rows of stitches. This is my third single crochet for this side. And last of all, between rows 1 and 2 to get my 4th single crochet. So we've got our 34, increase in the corner, 4 stitches. Now we're going to work along this bottom edge. So to work this bottom edge, I'm going to start with working a single crochet increase in the corner. So I'm going to work 2 single crochet stitches right here. And if we look from this side, front side here where we started, we're working in these loops here, but if we look from the back, it can be helpful to go underneath a couple extra strands, so I'm just kind of working right in there. And I'm going to put 2 single crochet into this spot right here. So this is 1 and 2, both in the same spot. Once we've done that increase in the first spot, we're just going to single crochet evenly along, and we will single crochet 33 single crochet along this edge. So I just go to my next spot, work a single crochet, next spot right there, work my next single crochet, and I'm just going to work along this bottom edge. So I'm going to finish up working here, and then I'll meet you in the corner. Alright, so I've worked the increase in the corner, and then 33 single crochet evenly along, and I also had my first color change of the project. And now we just have that 35th spot right here, and I'm going to work a single crochet increase in that spot. So I'm going to work 2 single crochet right here. So 1 and 2, work in that same spot. So now all we have left is this little edge right here, and we're going to work it the same way we did the opposite narrow end, where we're going to work 4 single crochet, and we're going to place them between the rows of stitching. So if we look, this right here is the start of round 6. So that means this is row 5 and this is row 4. So we're going to work between them. Row 4 and row 3, we're going to work between there. Row 3 and 2, we'll work between there. Row 2 and 1, so we'll work our first spot. So we'll work our first single crochet right there. Just kind of going between the ends of the rows. So this is 1. In between the next 2 rows for 2. In between the ends of the next 2 rows for 3. And in between the ends of the next 2 rows for stitch number 4. Before we join, we need to work one more stitch, and we're going to work that stitch in the same spot where we worked our very first stitch of the round. So it's basically going to turn that first stitch into an increase as well, and it'll just help the corners line up so that when we join our rounds, all the joins will fall on kind of the corner side of the bag. So right here is where I worked the first stitch of the round. I'm just going to work another single crochet in that same spot to finish up the round. And then now that I've finished the round, I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the top of my first stitch of the round. So I'm just going to insert through the top right there, yarn over, and pull through everything on my hook. So that finishes round 6. So now it's time for round 7. In round 7, we'll repeat 5 more times, so a total of 6 times, because rows 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are all worked the same way. And the way they are worked is simply working single crochet stitches all the way around. So here's how to work row 7, and then you'll repeat that for rounds 8 through 12. I'm going to start by chaining 1, and then in the same spot here where I joined with a slip stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet. So this is my first one. In my next stitch, I'll work a single crochet. So this is second single crochet of the round. Third single crochet of the round, and so on until I've got all the way around, and I'll end up with a total of 82 single crochet. So essentially there'll be 37 single crochet along the long end, 4 single crochet on the short end, 37 single crochet along the bottom, and then 4 more along the side here. And that will be 82 single crochet stitches and get us all the way around, and then we'll join the round with a slip stitch just like we did when finishing round 6. Again, I definitely recommend using a stitch marker because it makes it a lot easier to know that I've hit 82 stitches, let me join, versus I'm just going to keep going around and you forget that you finished the round and you accidentally start spiraling. So I've got 3 right here. Let's go on to stitch number 4, and then I'll meet you once I've worked stitch 82. Alright, so I just finished working round 7 here, and as you can see, we can kind of get these corners to start tucking because we're kind of going up the sides now. And so the bag shape is starting to form just a slight bit. But what I want to mention really quick is that after I worked all the way around, especially when you're getting going, I counted the number of stitches. Now it's not fun to count 82 single crochet stitches, but it will help us later on to make sure that we're on track. So once I made sure that yes, I have 82 stitches here, all that's left to finish round 7 is to join it with a slip stitch. So let me pop out this stitch marker, go underneath the top of my first stitch from the round, and join with a slip stitch. So that completes round 7. Now rounds 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are worked exactly the same way as we just worked round 7. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll join you again after I've completed through round 12, and we'll start throwing in some of the fun textures and patterns. Alright, so if we look here, I have completed all the way through round 12, and as you can see, the shape of our bag is starting to form a lot more. We've got kind of a flat bottom, and then we've got the sides building up and those single crochet stitches. So far the project's been a little bit boring besides the color changes, and the reason we start with a single crochet is just so we get a really sturdy and strong base to our bag, and so things don't fall out the bottom of our bag. But now that we have this nice solid foundation ready for our bag, it's time to start adding on those textures. In round 13 is going to be the first round where we do some funky textures. We're going to start the round by chaining 4, and this is going to count as our first stitch. So it's 3 and then 4. So that counts as our first stitch, so we're not going to work anything right here. So we're kind of skipping that stitch in a sense. Then we're also going to skip the second stitch. Then in stitches 3 and 4, in each of those, we're going to work a treble. So that's where we yarn over twice. Again, I'm skipping 1, 2, and in the third spot here, I will work a treble crochet stitch. And in the following spot, I will also work a treble crochet stitch. So now here's where things get fun and funky. We're gonna work a third treble crochet stitch, but instead of working it on this side over here, we're gonna work it in this stitch that we skipped. So I'm gonna yarn over twice, and I've got my yarn kind of here on the left-hand side, and I'm gonna come to the front and go down through that stitch right there. And your fabrics can get a little bit bunchy. That's okay, just roll with it. And then we'll finish the stitch. So I'll yarn over here on the back side of the work, pull a loop to the front. So I have this whole series of loops here on my hook. And so now I'll finish it off just like a normal treble, where we yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And what that does is it causes the third one to cross over the first 2 we worked and fill in the gap there. So now our pattern is going to repeat all the way around. So the way this works is we're going to skip the next stitch, and we've worked in this stitch right here. It's kind of pulled to the side, but don't accidentally think that you haven't worked it. This has been worked in, so that's the one we're skipping. And then in the following stitch, we're going to work a treble. Just a basic US treble triple stitch. Work a treble in the following stitch as well. And then to complete the repeating pattern, we're going to work a treble right there in that stitch that we skipped. So I'm going to yarn over twice. From the front, insert my hook through to the back. Yarn over and pull up a loop to the front. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that works the pattern, so I'll show you that one more time, and then we'll just repeat it all the way around. I'm going to skip the next stitch, so again, make sure you keep track of, okay, we did work here. It kind of looks like we didn't, just because the stitch is pulled so far to the side, but we can see the base of a stitch right here. So the next stitch is this one. We're gonna skip right there, and in the following spot, work a treble. So this is my first treble. A second treble goes in the next stitch. And then to complete the repeating pattern, we're going to work our third treble stitch back here in the stitch that we skipped. Let's go right through there, pull a loop, and do my yarn over, pull through 2s until I'm left with just 1 loop on my hook. I'm going to work these 3 stitches, this little pattern, all the way around, and then I'll show you how we finish the round. So if we look here, I am coming to the end of round 13, and because we let this turning chain in the beginning count as our first stitch, we are left with just 1, 2, 3 spaces, so we have room to do just 1 more repetition of this pattern. So again, we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the following stitch, work a treble crochet. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. In the next stitch, also work a treble crochet. So insert, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And then for our third and final treble, we're going to yarn over twice, go back to the spot we skipped, insert right through there. And I earlier showed that you can yarn over like this. You can also just catch the yarn with the front of your hook. Same thing, just whatever feels more natural and is easier. So bring up a loop to the front, and then yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and that's gonna wrap up the actual stitches of round 13. So all we have left to do is to join the round. So I'm just gonna find the top of my chain 4, and for me it's this spot right here. And I'm going to insert in the top of that chain 4 and join with a slip stitch. So now that we've got a little bit of texture going on, we're going to put just 3 rows of single crochet just to give a little bit of separation between our textures. So for round 14, we're going to chain 1. And in this top spot here where we joined the round, I'm going to insert my hook and work a single crochet. And then in the tops of my next 3 stitches, I'm going to work a single crochet in the top of each of those. So this is my second single crochet of the round, third single crochet of the round, fourth single crochet. And basically what I'm going to do at this point is just keep working single crochet along the tops of my stitches all the way around. And then once I work in this spot right here, that will be my 82nd stitch, and then I'll join with a slip stitch. So round 14 is essentially work 82 single crochet all the way around. So round 17, we're going to start by chaining 2. So 1, and then 2. And then we're gonna work a repeating pattern. And the repeating pattern is skip the next stitch. So we're basically skipping the first stitch here. And then in the following stitch, we're going to work a double crochet. Then after the double crochet, we will chain 1. Then we'll work a treble in the same stitch. So this is working the treble. Then we will chain 1, and then we'll finish it up with a double crochet in that same stitch. So we're working a double crochet, a treble, and a double crochet all in the same stitch, and we are separating them with chain stitches. And then to finish the pattern, we skip the next stitch, and then repeat. So we've already skipped this stitch, so we skip the next one, we work the double crochet, followed by a chain, followed by a treble crochet in that same spot, followed by a chain 1, and finish up with one more double crochet in that same stitch, and then skip the next stitch. So basically we're skipping 2 stitches, and then that third stitch we're working a double crochet, chain 1, treble, chain 1, double crochet. So again, we can think of it as skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in a third spot, work a double crochet, followed by a chain 1, followed by a treble in the same stitch. Then after that, another chain 1, and finish it all up with a double crochet in the same stitch. So I'm going to repeat this around, I'll show you how we join, and then we'll move on to round 18. Alright, so we're finishing up the round here, so I'm going to skip the next 2, and in this spot right here, work that double crochet, chain 1, treble, and again I know it's kind of hard to see with the black yarn, but we're just doing the same pattern I showed earlier, chain 1, double crochet, and when we get done we're going to be left with 2 stitches here. So at this part we kind of tweak how many stitches we have in the round. So for this round and the next one it's like we only have 81 stitches instead of 82, but because we have enough play from these extra chains in here, it all works out. So basically once I have done that last one, I just have those 2 spaces left. I'm going to skip them, but I'm going to look at the start of my round and I'm going to find the very first double crochet stitch. And I'm going to insert in the top of that very first double crochet stitch and join right there with a slip stitch. So just pull that through everything. And now we are ready for round 18. So round 18 we've got to do just a slight bit of setup, and we're about to get to the different colored yarn, so that's going to make this a little bit easier to see as well. But what we need to do is we need to get to where we're working in this treble space. So to get there I'm going to slip stitch in this chain space. So I'm just going to insert my hook through there, yarn over and pull this loop through, so that's a slip stitch. And then on the top of this treble I'm going to work another slip stitch. So insert right in here, yarn over and pull the hook through everything. And now that we're here, we're going to start by chaining 3. So 1, 2, 3, and for this first spot this is going to count as our first double crochet. And then we're going to, in the same treble, we're going to work 3 more double crochet, so kind of like 4. So it'll be a turning chain of 3 plus 3 double crochet. So I'm going to work a double crochet here, a second double crochet stitch, and here with the third one we're going to get that nice color change where we can see it just a little bit better. And now the repeating pattern is that in the top of every treble space we're going to work 4 double crochet. So basically my turning chain plus the 3 double crochet that I work here, those count as 4 double crochet. We're going to come to this next treble from the previous round, insert our hook, and in this one stitch, I'm gonna work 4 double crochet. So this is my first one, second double crochet, a third double crochet, again, all in that same spot, which is the top of that treble, so that middle stitch. That was the third one, and now my fourth and final double crochet here in this spot. Then skip all these chain spaces, double crochets, and jump all the way to the next treble. And in that next treble, again, work 4 double crochet stitches, all in the same spot. I'm having a little bit of trouble here because I'm just splitting my yarn just because I'm working with so many random scrap pieces of yarn that I've had left over from projects over the years. But there we go. All right, so 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet if I can avoid splitting the white yarn there, a third double crochet, again, all these stitches in the same spot, and last of all, a 4th double crochet. So I'm going to work 4 double crochet in the center of every treble, and I'm going to do that all the way around, and then I'll show you how we join and finish off the round, and then move on to round 19. Alright, so I'm coming up to my last little repeating here, and I'm just finding the top of that treble, and you know, it's getting a little hard to see with the black yarn. That's the top of my treble, and I'm going to work those 4 double crochet stitches in this spot, so that's 2. Now I'm working on my third one, third double crochet, and my 4th and final double crochet right here. And once I do that, I'm going to go to the start of the round, and I'm going to go to the top of my chain 3, insert my hook, and join with a slip stitch. And at this point your bag might look like, oh no, it's suddenly getting way wider. That's just from this round here. Once we do the next couple of rounds, it'll bring it all in. And this bag has a good bit of stretch too, so it'll all even out in the end. So that finished up row 18, so now it is time for row 19. So we're gonna start this round by chaining 1. Or you can chain 2 depending on your tension. I'll probably do a second one here because we're gonna work a half double crochet. And we need to work in the space here between these clusters of 4 double crochet. So I'm gonna work a half double crochet and kind of come behind where I work that join and just insert through there, catch my yarn and pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through all 3, and that's gonna put my first half double crochet right here in between these clumps of 4. And now it's time for our pattern to repeat. So I'm going to chain 2, so 1, 2, and then in between my next clusters of 4 double crochet, I'm gonna work a half double crochet stitch. That's where I yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on my hook. And I'm gonna get my stitch marker in that first stitch so I don't lose track of that. And while I'm working on unwinding my yarn a little bit more so I can have some more slack, something I will mention is if you find you're going a really long distance with one yarn color, like here I had a lot of the green through here, you can of course cut your yarn ball and swap to another color and make your color runs a little shorter so you get more frequent color changes, or you can just go and let the yarn end up however it ends up. But just wanted to throw that out there. So back to round 19. So to keep working on our pattern, I'm gonna chain 2, 1, 2, skip these 4 double crochet, and in the space between my double crochet clusters, I'm gonna work a half double crochet. And so I'm not working in the top of a stitch, but I'm working just in between the stitches, basically. Chain 2, 1, 2, work a half double crochet between my next clusters of 4 double crochet. And I'm gonna repeat that all the way around, and when we get to the end, I will show you how we finish up and join. So here I'm coming to the end of row 19, and all that's left to do is to do a few more chains, and we're going to do 3 chain stitches this time. So 1, 2, and 3. And the reason why we do 3 chain stitches, whereas the rest of the round we were doing 2, is because that's going to bring us up to 82 stitches for this round, so it'll be the same distance around as these rows down here, as these rows right here, and it'll get us back to that 82 stitch, I guess circumference if you will, for the project. So once we do that, we're going to find the first stitch from the round, and insert our hook and slip stitch to join. So now for round 20, we are going to work a total of 82 single crochet stitches around. So we're going to start by chaining 1, And in the same spot where we joined, we're going to work a single crochet stitch. And then in every chain space, however many chains we did, that's how many single crochet will work in the chain space. So this was a chain 2 space, so that means inside this chain space, we're going to work 2 single crochet. So 1 and 2. I'm just kind of working in and around that chain 2 space. So 2 single crochet right there. I'm going to put my stitch marker in so I don't get confused once I get back around. And then when I come to the half double crochet, I will work a single crochet in the top of that stitch. So again, we come to a chain 2 space, so that means I'm going to work 2 single crochet into this space. So 1, 2. Once I hit the half double crochet, I will work a single crochet in the top of that stitch. And I'm just going to keep working this all the way around. And when I get here, because this is a chain 3 instead of a chain 2, I will work 3 single crochet into that chain space, and that will bring me to 82 single crochet stitches for this round. So I'm coming to the end of round 20 here. I just have 4 more single crochet to go. So I've got a single crochet in the top of this half double crochet right here. And then I have this final chain 3 space where I'm going to work 3 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. That's going to finish the round, and we will join in the top of the first stitch of the round with a slip stitch. So just insert your hook under that stitch, yarn over, and pull it through everything on your hook. So now we're going to get into our next texture with round 21, but the first part of it is pretty simple. It's kind of a setup round. We're going to start by chaining 2. So 1, 2, and then in all 82 single crochet, I'm going to work a half double crochet. So in my first single crochet, I'm going to work a half double crochet. Go to my second stitch and work a half double crochet in that. And again, I'm having a little bit of issues with splitting yarn just because it's some really random yarn. And again, the half double crochet is when we yarn over, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. So these are my first 3 stitches. I've got 79 more to go. I'm going to do those 79, we'll join the round, and then I'll show you round 22. I've just worked my 82nd half double crochet of round 21, and now I'm going to finish the round by joining with a slip stitch. So now for this round, we're going to work 82 half double crochets, but these are half double crochets with a twist. I like to call this half double crochet variation the half double crochet knit stitch. You might see why in just a moment, but let me show you how we work this. We're going to start the round by chaining 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to work a half double crochet stitch, but I'm not going to go through these top 2 vertical bars where I normally would work. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to look on the back of my half double crochet, and I have this line, this piece of yarn right there running left and right, kind of creating a V shape open to the right, but it's kind of on the back side behind the top of the stitch, and I'm going to insert under there to work my half double crochet. So I already had the yarn over on my hook. I went under there, going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, or really all through all 3, not 2, pull through all 3 to finish that half double crochet. And what this does is it pushes the top of the stitches of the previous row to the front while we work kind of along the back side. So let me show you that again. That was our first one, and we're going to do 82 of these around. I'm going to start by yarning over to prepare for my half double crochet. Then I'm going to look on the back. So normally I would work right through here, but instead I'm going to find the bar below, kind of behind the top of the stitch, and that's that right there, and I'm going to insert underneath there from front to back, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on my hook to finish the stitch. So as you can see, it's pushing the tops of the stitches to the front while we work kind of behind them. Once more, we're going to look on the back side. I'm going to go underneath that back horizontal bar right there and work my half double crochet. That was my third stitch. onto my 4th stitch, looking on the back side, finding that horizontal bar, insert underneath there, and then work my half double crochet stitch. So those are the first 4 stitches of the round. I'm going to work a total of 82 half double crochet in this knit stitch variation where we're working on the back side of the stitch, and then I'll meet you to join the round. And just as a side note, if you want to do another project that uses this half double crochet knit stitch technique, I will link a card up there for a tutorial on a crochet hat that looks like it's been knit. But in the meantime, let's finish this project. I'm gonna finish my 82 half double crochets going around, working along the back side in this knit style. So I've worked 80 half double crochet in the knit style, and I'm going to finish up the round by slip stitching in the top of the first stitch from the round. And that finishes up round 22. So now for round 23, it's going to be very similar, but instead of working with a half double crochet, we're going to work with a single crochet, but still work it on the back side of our project. So I'm going to chain 1, and again, there'll be 82 of these, and I'll look on the back side of the stitch, find that horizontal bar back there, and in that bar, I will work a single crochet. So that's the first one. For my second one, move over a spot, working in that back bar, work a single crochet. Use the look from the front, kind of roll to the back, find that bar, and work a single crochet. So very similar to round 22, just instead of doing half double crochet, we're doing single crochet, again 82 of them evenly around, just we're working in that back bar. So let me finish up round 23 and then I'll show you what we do next. So with round 23 here, we're at the end. I worked my 82 single crochet stitches, and I will finish off the round by joining with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch from the round. And this brings us to round 24 where we're going to get some new textures. So we're going to start by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. This doesn't count as a stitch, this is just simply a turning chain. So in the first stitch here, we're going to work a double crochet. So in that same spot as where we joined. Then we're going to do this fun bobble stitch, which is basically where we are working a total of 5 treble crochets together in this spot right here. So to work this, we're going to yarn over twice, insert into our next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then stop when you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over twice, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, stop when there's 3 loops on the hook. So we've basically worked the starts of 2 treble stitches. We're going to work the start of a 3rd treble stitch. So yarn over twice, insert in the same spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, stop with 4 loops on our hook, yarn over twice, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, stop when there's 5 loops on our hook. And for our 5th treble start, we're going to yarn over twice, insert again in that same spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and at this point we will have 6 loops on our hook, and to bring it all together, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 of those loops. And I gotta try to do this without splitting the yarn, but there we go, now we made it through. So then we're going to get into a pattern that repeats all the way around. We're going to work 2 double crochet, so 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and 1 double crochet in the following stitch, and then in the 3rd spot we're going to do the treble cluster, the little bobble. So when we do the bobble, it's kind of like we start 5 treble crochet stitches, but we don't do that last pull through 2, so basically we end up with a loop on our hook from each stitch, and then we join them all together. So I'll show you that again. Start by yarning over twice, inserting into the next stitch where we're going to work the bobble, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, stop. Yarn over twice, insert in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, stop. That's the starts of 2 trebles. Yarn over twice, insert in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, stop. That's the starts of 3 treble stitches. Yarn over twice, insert in the same spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, stop. That's the start of 4 treble stitches. And for our 5th one, yarn over twice, insert our hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That brings us to 5. And then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 6 loops on our hook to create the fun little bobble. Then I'll work a double crochet in each of my next 2 stitches. So a double crochet in this stitch, then the second double crochet in the following stitch. And then it's time for another bobble. So I'll keep repeating this all the way around, and then I'll show you how we join once I get back to this side. So I'm getting to the end of round 24 here, and I just have 2 stitches left, and to finish off this round, I'm going to work a double crochet in each of the remaining stitches. So this is my first double crochet, and then my second double crochet in the next stitch. So now that we've worked the last stitch, we're going to join the round with a slip stitch in the top of the very first double crochet from the round. This brings us to round 25, which for this round we are going to chain 1 and work a single crochet in all 82 stitches. So I'm going to work a single crochet in the top of the stitch where I joined. This is my first one. Go to my next spot, which is the top of that bobble stitch. Work my second single crochet, go to the next stitch and work a single crochet. So that's number 3 out of 82, and I will go around and work 82 single crochet and then join the round by slip stitching in the first single crochet of the round. And then round 26 is going to be a repeat of round 25 where I chain 1 and then work 82 single crochet around and then join with a slip stitch. So I'm going to work through round 26 and then I'll show you round 27. So I'm working on round 25, and I came to a part in round 24 that I meant to show you when I was working on round 24, but I forgot to until I came around to this section. So if you look here, I have these bobbles, and these are on the outside of the bag. But when I work the bobbles, they tend to lean inward, and yours may tend to pop out, or they may tend to pop inward. But either way, if yours pop inward, they're really simple to just push to the outside of the bag, push to the front side. Just push the stitches out, and you'll get that nice bobble texture on the outside of the bag. So just wanted to throw that out there in case yours are all popped inward. So I finished rounds 25 and 26, so we're getting some fun new colors here on our bag. We got some blue introduced here. And now it's time for row 27, and this is a fun little pattern that I like to do. And this is also a great way to make a border, in case you're wondering, on blankets and things. I'll just throw that out there. But what we're going to do is we're gonna, again, have a nice repeating pattern. And the pattern is we chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then in the same spot where we joined, we're going to work a treble stitch. So yarn over twice, insert into that same spot where we joined, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to work the treble. And now to finish this off, we're going to skip the next 2 spaces, so 1, 2, and in the 3rd stitch, we're going to work a slip stitch. So I'm inserting my hook there, and then pulling that through. And basically it creates this fun little bump, a little bit of openness here at the bottom, and then we repeat. We start by chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the same spot as our last slip stitch, we're gonna work a treble. So again, we yarn over twice, and work in that spot, work the stitch. Once we've worked the treble, skip the next 2 stitches, so skip, skip, and in that 3rd one, we're gonna fasten it down with a slip stitch. So one more time, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Work a treble in the same spot where we just did that slip stitch. And then once the treble's done, skip 1, 2 stitches, and in the 3rd one, work a slip stitch. Get these funky little bumps, and I'm going to work that all the way around, and then I'll show you how we join and then teach you the next round. So I've been going around for row 27 here, and we've just got one more repetition left. We've got 3 stitches, so I'm going to repeat the pattern one more time. So start by chaining 4, 3, 4. And then in that spot where I last slip stitched, I'm going to work a treble crochet. And then as we've been doing all the way around, I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, and then the 3rd stitch, which is the final stitch of this round, I'm going to join with a slip stitch. And that finishes the row. The last thing we need to do is we're kind of in stitch number 82. We need to get over to stitch 1. So I'm just going to find kind of the top here, the side of this stitch where we started, and just somewhere in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to insert my hook and work a slip stitch. Now we're ready to tackle row 82. So for row 82, we're going to start by chaining 2, 1, 2, and in the same spot where we joined the round, we're going to work a half double crochet. So that's where we yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through all 3. And then the repeating pattern going all the way around is we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, skip this little bump here. In the spot where we work that slip stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet. And my yarn's splitting a little bit, but there we go, got it to come through. So finishing off this half double crochet, got the knot there, so it's just a little tight and goofy. And now I'm just going to repeat this all the way around. So I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, then I'm going to skip, basically I'm skipping those 4 chains of that bump, and then I'm going to where that slip stitch is, and in the top of that slip stitch right there, I'm going to insert and work a half double crochet. So pull through all 3, and this is kind of some funky yarn. I don't know that I've ever worked with this before. All right, but continue on around. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip the little bump, go to the next slip stitch spot, and work a half double crochet, and I'm going to repeat that all the way around and then show you how we finish the round. So here I'm coming to the end of round 28, and what we've been doing all along is we've been doing the half double crochet, 2 chain, half double crochet, and so on, and keep repeating that around. But for this last one, we're going to work 3 chain stitches and not do a half double crochet in this spot, and we're just going to slip stitch to join in the top of the first stitch of the round. So that'll be 1, 2, 3 chains, and then come here to my first stitch, get that stitch marker out, insert underneath the top of that stitch, and join the round with a slip stitch. So then round 29 is going to be one of these rounds where we work 82 single crochet stitches all the way around. So we'll start with the chain 1. We'll work a single crochet in the same spot where we joined. So this is my first single crochet. And then in every chain space, however many chains we did, that's how many single crochet we'll do in that space. So this is a chain 2 space, so I'm going to work 2 single crochet stitches into this chain space. So this is 1, this is 2, and I gotta put my stitch marker back. Then I come to this half double crochet stitch and I'll work a single crochet in the top of that. Then I hit a chain space, it's a chain 2 space, so that means I'm going to work 2 single crochet into this space. So basically we work 2 single crochet into the chain spaces, a single crochet into the half double crochet stitches, and then at the very end we're going to hit that chain 3 space, and in that spot that'll be the only spot where we work 3 single crochet stitches into a chain space. So work 2 single crochet stitches into every chain space as well as in the top of a half double crochet, and I'll meet you at the end of the round. So I'm getting to the end of round 29 here, so I just worked 2 single crochet in this chain space. I'm going to work a single crochet in the top of this half double crochet, and then for this last chain space, because it's a chain 3 space, I'm going to work 3 single crochet into this space. So 1, 2, and 3. Once more to finish it all off, I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the very first stitch of my round. So now for round number 30, we're just going to chain 1 and then work 82 single crochet stitches around. So I'm working in that spot where I joined, that's my first single crochet, work my next single crochet in the next stitch, and I'm going to work 82 around. And then to join the round, I will slip stitch in the top of my first stitch. So here I've finished up round 30 and I've joined the round with a slip stitch, and now for round 31, it's going to be a simple round because it's going to be just kind of a setup round, and in this round we're going to work 82 double crochet all the way around. So to start, I'm going to chain 2, so 1, this is 2, and then in my first stitch here where I joined, I'm going to work a double crochet, so that's my first double crochet. In the next stitch, I will work my second double crochet, third stitch in the next double crochet, and I'm going to work a total of 82 double crochet stitches around. And once I get to the end, I will join the round with a slip stitch in the top of my very first double crochet of the round. So I've finished round 31 and joined with a slip stitch, and as I mentioned earlier, this is the setup round for round 32. So for round 32, we're going to introduce some more textures. So we start this round by chaining 2, and then we're going to do some front post and back post double crochet stitches. I'll link to the video or two up there if you're not familiar with those stitches. But basically, I'm going to work a double crochet around the front of these next 3 stitches. So 3 front post double crochets. So I yarn over, I'm going to go around this first stitch, kind of the post of the stitch versus going through the top. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's a front post double crochet, and I'm going to work one of those around each of the next 2 stitches. So this is my second front post double crochet, working around the post of the stitch, and then a third one. So coming around and working around the front of that stitch. That's the first half of this round's repeating pattern. The second half is going to be 3 back post double crochets. So that's where we yarn over, and we're going to work around this post here, but we're going to come from the back side, across the front, and out the back again. Yarn over, pull up a loop to the back here, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to complete a back post double crochet. So that was our first one. We've got 2 more to go. So back post double crochet around the next stitch. So once we've worked that first yarn over, we're finishing it off the same way as a normal double crochet. We're just inserting our hook in a different spot in a different way than we normally do for double crochet stitches, but the actual steps of the stitch are the same. So that's 3 front posts followed by 3 back posts, and we're going to repeat that around 3 front posts, 3 back posts, all the way around until we have 4 stitches left. And at that point, we're going to change it up just slightly, but it will still be front post and back post. So I'm going to work 3 front post double crochet followed by 3 back post double crochet all the way around until there's 4 stitches left, and then I'll show you how to finish the round and join it. So I'm coming to the end of round 32. I just have 4 stitches left unworked, and we're going to do a very similar thing to we've been doing, just instead of working 3 front post double crochet followed by 3 back post double crochet, we're going to work 2 front post double crochet followed by 2 back post double crochet and finish up the round. So in these next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So this is my first front post double. Run the next one, work my second front post double. And I'm going to stop with just 2, not going to work 3. And then in my last 2 stitches, I'm going to work a back post double crochet in each of those. So this is my first back post double crochet and my second back post double crochet, which will also be the 82nd stitch from the round. And we'll finish it up by slip stitching in the top of the first front post double crochet of the round. So this was round 32. I'm going to repeat this all again for round 33, and then I will show you what we do with round 34. As we come to round 34, you might be happy to know that the next round is going to be very similar to the 2 previous ones we've worked. Just this time, instead of starting with 3 front posts followed by 3 back posts, we're going to work 3 back posts followed by 3 front posts and work that all the way around. And then at the end, we'll do 2 back posts followed by 2 front posts. So another way to think of that is wherever we worked a front post in the previous row, we're going to work a back post this row. So I'm going to start by chaining 2. And in my first 3 stitches, I'm going to work back post double crochet. So that's where the hook goes around the post of the stitch from the back side. We'll pull our loop up to the back side there, and then finish it off like a normal double crochet. Pull through 2, pull through 2. That's our first back post. A back post in the next stitch. This is my second back post double crochet. And then a third back post double crochet in the next stitch. That's the first half of the pattern. The second half is going to be 3 front post double crochet. So these next 3 stitches were back post double crochet, so we're going to work front post double crochet in each of these 3 stitches. So that's my second front post double crochet and my third front post double crochet. I'm going to repeat that all the way around. I'll help you here when we get to the end because we've got to remember to do just 2 here and here versus 3. But I'm going to go around with the 3 back post followed by the 3 front post and then meet you here at the end. So I'm coming up to the end of round 34 and I just wanted to show you this so you remember. We've got this little section here at the end where we just have 2 and 2. So in these next 2 I will do back post double crochet. So this is my first back post double crochet. And then back post double crochet in the second one. And that brings us to the very 2 final stitches of the round. And in each of those I will work a front post double crochet. So 1, and then 2, and this stitch is also my 82nd stitch of the round, which means it's my final stitch, yay! And now we will join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch of our round. So that was round 34. Now round 35 is going to be a repeat of round 34. So we start by chaining 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to start with 3 back post, followed by 3 front post. And then in the last 4 stitches, we do 2 back post followed by 2 front posts. So do groups of 3 all the way around, just alternating every 3 stitches. And we start with these 3 back posts. Alternate all the way around until you get to those last 4 stitches, and then do 2 and 2 and join the round with a slip stitch, and then I'll show you round 36. So I just finished up round 35, and I just really quick want to mention that this combination of stitches is called a basket weave. It's a little hard to see with these color changes, but it looks like a basket weave kind of pattern because you have pieces running up and down and then pieces running left and right. And again, a little hard to see with the color changes, but you can probably see that it looks a little bit like a basket weave, and I'll link to a video up there or maybe in the description that shows the basket weave more in depth if you want to make a project using that texture. But now let's talk about round 36. This is a very simple round. This is a chain 1 followed by 82 single crochet stitches, and these single crochets are worked just like normal. So I'm going to go around with 82 single crochets, join with a slip stitch in the top of my round, and then round 37 is going to be a repeat of round 36 where I chain 1, work 82 single crochet stitches all the way around, and then join with the round with a slip stitch. So I'm going to work rounds 36 and 37, and then I'll show you how we work round 38. So I finished rounds 36 and 37. Those were just 82 single crochet around, and I've joined round 37. Now round 38 is going to be very simple. It's kind of a setup row again. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to work 82 half double crochet evenly around. So I'm going to start in the spot where I joined my round, yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. That's my first half double crochet, and I'm going to do 82 of these around, and then once I've done 82 half double crochet, just working evenly, then I'll join the round with a slip stitch in the top of my first half double crochet from the round. So I'm going to work around 38, and then I'll show you round 39. So I finished round 38 by working those 82 half double crochets around and joined with a slip stitch, and now it's time for round 39. So round 39 we're going to start by chaining 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to do a repeating pattern. The first part is we're going to work a half double crochet, and this first one goes in the very first stitch of the round. And then after the half double crochet, around each of the next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm not going to work on the top of the stitch, but I'm going to work around the post and work a front post double crochet. And then in my next stitch, do another front post double crochet. So around this stitch right here, working around the post of that stitch, working a front post double crochet. And that is what we're going to repeat around. So next stitch gets a half double crochet worked in the top, just a normal half double crochet, where we yarn over and pull through all 3. And then around the next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet around each of them. So work a front post around this one, and a front post around this one. And I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around. We will have 1 extra stitch. I'll show you the ending, but we're just going to stick a half double crochet in the extra stitch. But for now, for the vast majority of the round, we're gonna work a half double crochet, worked normally, followed by 2 front post double crochets. So I'm coming to the end of round 39. I just worked 2 front post double crochet, so the next thing to do is to work a half double crochet in the top of my next stitch. I'll work a front post double crochet around each of the next 2 stitches. So this is my first front post, my first front post double crochet. And then I'll do a second front post double crochet around the next one. Sometimes as the yarn changes, some yarns tend to split a little bit more. You never know what yarn you're gonna hit next. And then we've got one last stitch in the round, so I'm gonna work a half double crochet like normal in the top of that stitch. And then to finish the round, I will join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch of the round. So that's this half double crochet here, so underneath there, and work that slip stitch to join. So now for rounds 40 and 41, we are going to repeat that round. So we start with a chain 2, so 1, 2. In the first stitch, we work a half double crochet. Then in each of my next 2 stitches, I'm going to work a front post double crochet. So that's my first front post double crochet around the next stitch, and then repeat that all the way around. Half double crochet, followed by 2 front post double crochet, and I repeat that around, and then in the 82nd stitch we work a half double crochet before slip stitching to join the round. So I'm going to repeat this for rounds 40 and 41, and then I'll show you what we do for round 42. So I have finished through round 41, and y'all, we are finally in the home stretch. We've only got a few more rounds to do. So rounds 42 and 43 are going to be worked the same way, and for these we are going to chain 1, and then work 82 single crochet stitches around evenly. So I'll work a single crochet in the same spot where I joined, and in the 81 remaining stitches. And then once I've worked my 82 single crochet stitches, I'll join the round with a slip stitch, and I'll repeat that for round 43, and then I will show you round 44. So I finished rounds 42 and 43. Now for round 44, we're going to start by chaining 2, 1, 2, and starting in the first stitch where we joined, and in every stitch around, I'm gonna work a half double crochet in every stitch. So it will be a total of 82 half double crochet. So that's my first one, here's my second one, and I'm gonna work this all the way around and join the same way we've been joining all the rounds. So I've completed round 44. We only have 3 more rounds to go before we finish it. Whoop whoop. So rounds 45 and 46 are worked the same way as each other. And what we're gonna do for these rounds is start by chaining 2. So 1 and then 2. And then starting in the first stitch, we're going to do half double crochet, but we're gonna insert on the back side for the half double crochet knit stitch style, kind of like we did back in round 22. I say kind of like, basically exactly like we did in round 22. So again, I'll show you. I'm gonna work a half double crochet in this first stitch, but instead of working in the top where we joined, I'm gonna look on the back of the stitch and find this horizontal piece right here and work underneath that to work my half double crochet stitch. So then I finish it the same way I finish any half double crochet stitch. I'm just inserting on the back side. So that's the first one. For our second one, again, go to the back side, find that horizontal bar right there and insert underneath it from front to back. And that's where I work that half double crochet stitch. And I'm going to do 82 of these all the way around my project, and then join with a slip stitch, and then repeat it again for round 46, and then I'll show you round 47. All right, it is time for round 47, which is the final round at the top of our bag. Let me just show you back here. This is the last couple of rounds I've done. Again, the black stitching is really hard to see. I apologize for that, but we're creating this knit-like effect in our stitches. So round 47 is going to be very similar to round 23 that we did earlier, which is a single crochet round, but again, we're working on the back side of our stitching. Now, because I've got this first section in the dark black yarn, I'm gonna start it and talk through it and then jump ahead and show you more clearly in the lighter color yarn. But to start it, we're gonna chain 1, and then we're working single crochet in the back loop on the back side of our half double crochet stitches. So I'm going to work these first few stitches, and then I'll show you that more clearly in the blue. So I've worked a little further ahead on this row. Let me show you more clearly what we are doing in row 47. So I'm working single crochet, but I'm not inserting in the top of the stitch. Instead, I'm going to the back of my half double crochet row from the previous row. And see how there's a kind of V shape open to the right? So the top of the stitch is the V open to the left. The back is the V open to the right. And I'm going to the far side of that V, and that's where I'm inserting my hook and working that single crochet stitch, and that in turn pushes the top of the half double crochet to the front and gives it that knit-like look. So I go to my next stitch, looking on the back, find that horizontal bar there, work a single crochet, and this is where I'm working all 82 single crochet of this round. So I'm going to finish going around, and then I will join the round with a slip stitch, same way we've been doing, and I'm also going to fasten off, and then next I'll show you how to add the handles. So I just finished round 47 and I fastened off my yarn, and y'all, check it out. So cute. And let's look at it from the other side as well. I think what's so fun with this project is by using the magic yarn ball is every time you follow this pattern you will get a completely different looking bag, just because the colors will be totally different. But this bag isn't very useful until we put some handles on it. So let's get some handles on this bag. First thing we need to do is get our bag folded in half, and mine pretty much already is folded in half the long ways, because then we're going to count in the stitching so we get it roughly lined up. So I'm going to add the handle on this side. I'm going to flip my bag over. And let's zoom in so we can see exactly where we need to work. Alright, so I'm going to work on the far side of my bag because I'm going to show you a little way that we can kind of hide where the bag handles are attached. If you don't want to join the way I'm showing here, you can just join along the tops of stitches to add the handle, but I'm going to add the handle kind of tucked down a little ways. But first we need to figure out how far we want to come in. So for me, I've got my bag folded in half, and looking from the top, I'm going to count 6 stitches in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put a stitch marker on there so I keep track of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to crochet around the stitching between, basically this black right here is row 45, this blue is row 46. I'm basically going to crochet around the stitches of row 46, and where it attaches will be mostly hidden on the outside from this knit type texture. So let me show you what I actually mean by that. I'm going to take my yarn and put a slip knot onto my hook, and I'm going to make my handle 4 double crochet stitches wide, and I'm going to do this using what I call a quote floating double crochet, where basically I've got the slip knot on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and make sure this doesn't untwist. So I yarn over, and it can be helpful to put a finger here to keep it from unraveling. But I'm going to go down that 6th stitch, and not around row 47, but around row 46, I'm going to go around the body of the stitch, basically kind of like a front post double crochet. So I'm going around that stitch with my hook, then I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's my first double crochet. I'm going to work a second double crochet around the next stitch. So pretty much we're inserting like we would for a front post double crochet. And working that double crochet stitch, that's stitch number 2. Go to my 3rd spot, just keep working over a stitch. This is double crochet number 3. And over one more spot, work around that stitch for double crochet number 4. So before I show you how we're going to extend the handle, let's look at it from the other side. And if we stretch our work, we can see where we work those stitches, but for the most part, they stay pretty well hidden in our half double crochets that we did using that knit stitch. So that's why I like joining it like this, because it kind of hides it away. So now I'm going to show you how we add length to the handle of our bag, and there's really 2 ways you can do this. One, you can chain a turning chain of 2 or 3, turn your work, and then work double crochet across. Now personally, I'm just not a fan of this method for doing bag handles because my chains are always less stretchy than my double crochet stitches. So see how little that stretches, whereas the double crochet stitch, I can stretch it a good bit more than that chain will. And so what this does is it makes the edges of my handles kind of hard, and they dig in a little bit and they aren't soft. So this is one option if you want to do this because it's simpler. By all means go for it, but I'm going to show you another method that I think just gives a better result. So let's unwind and go back to row 1. And this is the alternative turning chain. And what we do for this is we turn our work, and I haven't done any chains. And we're gonna do this stitch in place of a turning chain. So what we do is we insert in our first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So it's basically like working a single crochet without doing a chain before starting. Then to make it the height of a double crochet stitch, I'm gonna come to this left vertical bar right here of the stitch I just worked, and I'm gonna insert underneath that vertical bar, that vertical strand of yarn, from right to left, like so, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's an alternative turning chain to a height of 2, and that's gonna count as my first double crochet. So then for the next 3 stitches across, I'm just gonna work a double crochet in each of those. So double crochet in my second one, double crochet in my third one, get a funky color change right here, and double crochet in my fourth stitch. So this way I don't have a turning chain, so it'll be pretty equally stretchy all the way across versus a hard chain kind of digging in and being really tight on the side. But let me show you that alternative turning chain again. So what we do is we start by turning our work. Then in the first stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then in that left vertical strand of what we just worked, insert from right to left, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's the alternative turning chain. So to finish the row, I'm just going to work 3 double crochet like normal across. And then I'll just keep repeating this for the length that I want my bag handles to be. But I will show you that alternative turning chain one more time just to make sure you can really clearly see how it's done. Start by turning your work. In the first stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. In this left vertical bar, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and that counts as our first stitch. And then we just do double crochet in the remaining 3. So I'm going to work my handle to the length that I want it to be, which for me I'm going to do a total of 17 rows repeating, and then I'll show you how to attach it on the opposite side. Alright, so I've repeated several more rounds of double crochet stitches along here. I actually did a total of 20 rows this time because on my previous bag I only did 17 because the yarn was a little bit stretchier, whereas this yarn, just because of the yarn it happened to be, is not as stretchy, so I wanted the handle to be long enough to make it a nice usable bag. But now it's time to fasten the handle to the opposite side, and we're going to fasten it around kind of the same position as we did down here, so we're gonna need to do some counting from the side. So again, I'm kind of working on this far side here, but with my bag evenly folded in half, I'm going to count 6 stitches in. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll put my stitch marker around that. And again, I'm going to go around the stitches from round 46, so that's these black stitches here. I'll kind of stretch this so you can see. And now I need to look at which side I ended up on. So I ended up on this side of my handle if I keep the handle laying flat like that. So I'm going to attach this first stitch in line with my stitch marker. But if I had ended up on this side of my handle just because of how many rows I decided to do, then instead of attaching it there, I would want this side to be attached 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches over, so that way then this side would line up with the stitch marker. But what I'm going to do is I might have to turn my bag around a little bit. I'm basically just going to orient my project so that way I can get my stitches to line up and just do some basic slip stitches. So to attach this, I'm going to go through my first stitch here, and then looking at the edge of my bag, I'm going to look at the row where I have my stitch marker and go down a row to row 46, and I'm going to go around the stitch that lines up with my stitch marker, go through it almost like I would for a front post stitch, and then work a slip stitch. So basically just yarn over and pull the yarn through everything on my hook. So that got the first spot attached. Then we'll go to the next stitch. I'll insert through the top of my second stitch, go to my bag, go to the left one stitch. So I'm kind of trying to pull this apart so you can see the stitching, but this is my next stitch right here. I'm just going around it. and then slip stitch by yarning over and pulling the yarn through everything on my hook. Go to my third spot, go to the next stitch, go around it, and work that slip stitch by yarning over and pulling the yarn through everything on my hook. And then one more time, fourth stitch here, insert in the top of the stitch, go over one stitch on my bag, insert underneath there, yarn over and pull it all through in a slip stitch. Whoop. Kind of snagging my yarn there. There we go, pull it all the way through. And then at this point, I can do one less yarn over and pull it through and fasten off. But if we look from the other side, again, it's not super visible. It's a little visible if you stretch it, but it blends in pretty well. So that's the first handle. I'm gonna repeat that process to add a handle to the opposite side of the bag, weave in all the ends, and then I'll show you the finished project. And here is a look at the finished bag. I think this is so cute and so much fun. And because we used the magic skein of yarn, the magic yarn ball, I love how I had no idea going into it how it was going to turn out, but the color pattern in this is so fun. So a couple quick notes, here are my handles attached. These will tend to kind of stretch out a little bit once you get some weight in the bag. Also, the bag overall is pretty stretchy. If you want your bag to be stretchier, you can go up a hook size, and if you want it to be not as stretchy, you can go down a hook size. And I love how because of the crazy texture, it didn't matter what kind of yarn I hit because there were so many different brands of yarn and even slightly different thicknesses and weights to the yarns too as I was going through this. But because there's so much intense texture to this pattern, it really didn't matter because any changes in yarn size or thickness or texture, they get blended in the craziness of the overall texture of the bag. Another thing I want to throw out there too is you don't have to necessarily work the bag in the same order I did. So maybe you like the look of this section down here, but you don't want there to be so many holes down at the bottom. Well, instead of working this section here, you could have worked, say, the basket weave section down there and put this in the next section further to the top of the bag. So that's a way you can use the same basic pattern but to get different bags. And again, even if you use this exact same pattern, just by using different yarns and by using a magic yarn ball, you'll end up with a different looking bag every single time. And one last thing I'll throw out there is if you do want your bag to have a little more uniformity to the colors, then you can make magic yarn balls that feature colors that coordinate really well so that way your whole bag will have a more consistent look. Mine, down here, we've kind of got these reds and greens and whites. Then we have this section where we've got a lot of blue. We come to the handle, we suddenly have orange and yellow. That orange is nowhere else in the bag. We've got a pink trim, but personally, I love it. I think it's so fun and funky. And here's just a look at how different this can turn out just from using different yarn. These came from basically the same magic yarn ball, just this was further out and this was further in the bag, and they look so different even though it's the same pattern, and I love how you get unique results every time you work this. But I hope y'all enjoyed this pattern and I really appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy this pattern, I would love if you could support my channel by both subscribing to my channel and by hitting the like button on the video. That helps me out so much and I really appreciate everyone's support. And be sure to leave me a comment down below and let me know if you're gonna try this project. And you can totally feel free with this to throw in extra textures. You don't have to stick with just the textures shown in this video. So if you've got ideas for other textures that would be really fun to do a stripe of that texture in this bag, drop those ideas in the comments below. But I'll catch you in my next video, and until then, happy crafting!